Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police channel. To my loyal viewers and subscribers. A people without knowledge of their past history, origin and culture is like a tree without roots. Yeah, most Jamaican people are like that. If you have no confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence, you won even before you started. Yes, that's a quote from the late Marcus Garvey. And you know, as a people, one I think that Jamaican people lack is self-confidence. Yes, you can see Jamaican people hate being black, they hate everything about themselves. Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police channel. You know, we at the channel are a group of law-abiding citizens who believe in the rule of law and respect the rights of every citizen, but not the ones who do not subscribe to such behavior. We do believe in and support preemptive strikes because it saves lives. Jamaica Young Police channel does not tell lies, as it is not in our DNA. Whatever you hear here is the truth and nothing but the truth. If we at the Jamaica Young Police channel saying anything that is not true, well, you can come here and correct the same. A wise man, yes, a wise man can change his mind, but a fool can't, because he's a fool. A fool will never ever know that he's a fool, even when it is pointed out to the fool that he's a fool, because all he's talking about is foolishness. Yes. Remember, you must never try to educate a fool, because the fool will hate you. Only a friend will tell you the truth. Before we begin today's video, we at the Jamaica Young Police channel want our audience and detractors to know that anything that we have said here that is incorrect, you can reach out to us and we will give you the chance to correct the same. To us, the first and foremost thing about us and the Jamaica Young Police channel is our character, credibility and reputation. We have never slandered or defamed anyone's name on this platform. Whatever you are hearing here is the truth. If the truth shall kill those who hate the truth, let it kill them. Remember that we said before, those who do not know the truth are fools, and those who knew the truth and call it a lie is a depraved and criminal-minded people. At the Jamaica Young Police channel, we want our loyal viewers and subscribers to know that we are not over here promoting propagandas or lies. Everything that we're telling you, it's factual, whether it's past or present. That's what we're all about here. Educate, inform, inspire and to change minds, to open up people's eyes, to see what's have been happening in their own world. Yeah, so you know, today we're gonna talk about one of Jamaica's baddest street cop, you know. Back in the days, his name is Linton. Yeah man, when criminal hear his name back then, Linton Berry's name drive fear into the hearts of criminal. But the downfall of Linton Berry was that boy, the man just could not control his jealousy. You know, he believed that spending money on a woman, that you own her, and you understand. And Linton Berry is a man that he was a married man at the time too. But he's a rich police officer who was kind of various company in Jamaica, and he was a feared police officer on the street, a no-nonsense police officer. And this is the only mistake that he had made by killing his lover. Yeah, killed Paulette Zaidie due to jealousy, because he felt that he owns her. Yes, Linton Berry. Back in the days, man, when that man name ring, criminal quiver, because Linton Berry was a no-nonsense police officer. So, old police officer, a few of them who have known Linton Berry, had asked us, to do some research and let the let the audience know about this white man, police officer, because Jamaica is predominantly a black country, but we have tend to, only show the black police officers in Jamaica who were fearless. We have never shown any white police officer who was fearless. And here's one of them, Linton Berry. Yeah, Linton Berry was a fearless crime fighter. Criminals afraid of him because he didn't play. So Linton Berry denies killing Paulette Zaidie. On December 10th, 1986, Joseph Zaidei and Paulette were married, unknown to Linton Berry, with whom she had said to have been having an affair. The judge and jury in Berry's murder trial heard that 10 days later, after the newlyweds returned from a trip to Miami, United States of America, Berry telephoned Joseph Zaidei and apologized for his earlier threats. Yeah, because boy, I'm threatening him I kill the man, because the man, they with him sweetheart and him spend all her money and fund her education, so she become an educated woman now. So now she reached the point in her life where she feels a boy, it's time now to cut ties with Linton. And Linton was not having none of it, because Linton was saying, I am the one who's responsible for your ascension in life and where you had reached now. So how dare you to want to tell me that it's over? It's not over until I said it's over. But you know that he was an heartless, a fearless and an heartless man. But she decided to gamble with her life because Linton Berry is a man who's supposed to be upholding the law. Believes, unbeknownst to her, that this man would resort to such violence. Yeah, so after Linton had telephoned Zaidei and apologized for his threat, he wished the couple well and requested assurance that his untoward behavior would not be reported to the police. So he called, apologized, and and told them that told Joseph Zaidei that he was sorry for his behavior and threatened. And Linton was a name brand police then. It's a name brand police in the corporate area. At the time I was going to high school, the man are fearless, man. A whole heap of notorious criminal him liquid. Yeah, one Linton a play man, preemptive strike all the time. You understand? So he had come to an agreement with the Zaidis. Alright, don't report to me. I threatened to kill you guys. And I just wish you guys all the best. But boy, it was boiling in Linton because Linton spent a lot of his money on her. And now that she have reached this point. So as it turned out, there would be no end to the torment. As the court was told on the early morning of January 9th, 1987, Zaidei received a telephone call from Berry, who this time instructed Zaidei to come forthwith to Paulette's former apartment instead of his Berry continued detention of her there. Zaidei did not take up the offer. That is Joseph Zaidei. So Linton had torment the man, the family, the Zaidis. At about 1 o'clock in the morning, Berry arrived at Zaidei's house. Paulette arrived shortly thereafter in her husband's Jeep. In a conversation that followed, Zaidei reported that Berry told him he was still in love with Paulette and he was distraught that she had gotten married to me. That is what the man is saying to the court, Zaidei. Upon being told by Zaidei that the marriage was, as it were, a done thing and that he should therefore cease his molestation and threats, Zaidei testified further that Berry got into a vile temper. He threatened to shoot Paulette if he discovered that she had gotten married while still seeing him. Zaidei recalled for the court an occasion when Berry allegedly threatened to kill him because he had learned that Zaidei had hit Paulette. On January 11th, 1987, at about 10:15 p.m., Berry carried out his threat to kill Paulette, shooting her in the face at the foot of Jack's Hill, St. Andrew. He then called Zaidei to relay the news by phone. It was the worst call Zaidie have ever gotten in his life. That just sad. Hey, the man killed the man wife, and tell her say him kill her, It was the worst phone call Joseph Zaidie had received, and he told the court later that in that instant his life changed forever. Zaidie also described the condition of his wife's body when he visited the death scene that January night, saying her face had been completely blown away. Zaidie's cross-examination was centered around his credibility. Questions were posed in relation to his alleged abuse of women, including his deceased wife, that he had, among other things, trafficked in hard drugs, specifically cocaine, and that he had introduced his wife to drugs. So Joseph Zaidie, was a drug dealer. That's what the defense attorney for Linton Berry, the police, officer is saying to him. All of the above postulations he stoutly denied. However, he admitted that he had been warned off for breaches of the Racing Commission regulation. Another key prosecution witness, Daphne Matadial, the dead woman's sister, also gave evidence. It was her testimony that on the occasion of October 1986, Berry admitted to her in the presence of her sister Paulette that he had beaten, threatened to kill and terrorize Paulette by wearing a mask. He did those things, he said, because Paulette refused to go out with him. When Mata Dial told Berry that Paulette wished to end the relationship because she could no longer endure his ill treatment, he promised to mend his ways. So him did have, boy Linton was a violent man, So he promised to mend his ways, but it did not change. Mata Dial recounted other instances when she said she had to speak to the accused about his abuse of Paulette, including his beating her, threatening to kill her, standing in her belly and wounding her in the head. Boy, I never know say I saw the man with violent to all the woman, man. How if you do that, Linton? And you're a bad police and a whole heap of people respect you, But look how the man used to really do, man. So the woman she testified that on January 7, 1987, Berry visited her, Mata Dial's home. He complained to her about her sister marrying Zaidie without informing him. He told her he would have her sister back and offered to set up Paulette in Miami until the rumors died. He added that Zaidie could not provide for Paulette as he could. Then the inevitable happened. According to the prosecution, Paulette was on her way home between 9 and 10 p.m. on January 11, 1987. She was seen proceeding easterly on Barbican Road when another car pulled up beside her. She stopped. Melrose Spence, who testified that he was a friend of the accused, said he was in the early night when he saw Berry sitting on the bonnet of his car. Berry appeared to be in a conversation with someone in a Jeep. The door to the driver's side of the Jeep was ajar. Another witness, John Johnson, told the hearing, one gunshot, then another. He saw one car reverse and shoot up Jackshill Road like a jet. Paulette Zaidie was dead. Evidence by the government pathologist revealed that the bullet entered below the left ear, in the lower cheek, shattering the lower jawbone, the left carotid artery, and the jugular vein, and exit on the right side of the mouth. Boy, man, violent rasta. Oh, if you love somebody and you kill them, that's how me can't, always me just cannot understand that, you understand? Oh, you claim that you love somebody and because they move on, you kill them, and you understand? That was due to shock from hemorrhage caused by a single bullet fired at point blank range. The ballistic expert called by the prosecution revealed that what was described as the fearsome weapon used to commit the crime was a 44 Magnum Smith and Wesson revolver fitted with hammer block safety mechanism, was in proper working order on the night of the incident, and in other words could not have gone off accidentally. He added that the weapon could only have been fired if the trigger was fully pressed back. So Berry now, them can't him, so this is Berry defense. Linton Berry gave evidence and oath. I'm a police, a white man and him have money and him rich, He told of talking to and making arrangement with Paulette to meet with her that fateful night at Jackshill and Barbican Roads gas station. He said he got there and parked his white Honda motor car to the left of her Jeep Wagoneer. She told him she wanted to leave her husband that very night. He tried to dissuade her by suggesting that she should discuss it with her husband first. According to Berry, at that point, they both left their vehicle and embraced each other. Upon releasing him, he told the court that Mrs. Zaidie said she intended to get into his car. According to him, as he made to pass by him and while his arms were still around her shoulder, she grabbed his gun in his holster. He said he grabbed the weapon with both hands and forced it downwards from his waist. Although his finger was not on the trigger, he declared he suddenly heard an explosion. That shot went through the left door of the Jeep. He regained possession of the gun, holding the weapon in his right hand. He then picked up Paulette body with his left arm and forced her into the seat of the Jeep behind the steering wheel. Berry told the judge and jury he was compelled to use force because the deceased had been struggling. He went on to say that he had put his right hand with the gun held upside down against the door of the Jeep for support and was switching on the headlights and the ignition when he fell to a sudden jerk against him and heard another explosion. He looked and saw Paulette had been shot in the head. He shook her several times calling her name, but she was dead. He believed the deceased was under the influence of drugs. He told the court he left the scene with the gun. Berry demonstrated to the jury how he said this unfortunate tragedy occurred. He denied that he had shot Paulette Zaidie deliberately. He also denied that he had been careless or negligent with the weapon. The accused also denied having made any telephone confession to Joseph Zaidie that night. He further denied that he ever made any threats against Paulette, as allegedly by Zaidie and the dead woman's sister. Some hours after the killing, Berry turning himself into the CID headquarters with his attorney. Caution, he was advised by his legal advisor not to say anything and remain silent as a result. The investigating officer in this case was Superintendent Dudley Reynolds, now retired Assistant Commissioner of Police, and the case would eventually reach the UK Privy Council after Berry was found guilty of murdering Paulette Zaidie and appeal. The Privy Council sent back the case to be retried. An important point of legal interest in all this was the production of an addendum to the Matadial's earlier statement to the police, as the Privy Council noted, to assist the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council in relation to the conduct of the appellant trial. Their Lordship expressed both surprise and disappointment that right up to the time when the board heard this appeal, no information had been forthcoming to explain how the addendum came into existence, among other things. What their Lordship finds still more important in this case is that the evidence was adduced, which had not been foreshadowed in the depositions. They consider that it was the Crown's clear duty to give warning of that evidence by furnishing the three statements to the defense in their Lordship view. Please do this was a material of irregularity. Regina versus Maguire, 1992, page 786. Turning to the complaint by the defense that the learned judge failed to deal with the problem which the jury indicated they had when they returned to court after an hour's deliberation. The Privy Council had this to say: having ascertained that the problem related not to the law but to the evidence, the judge then gave a brief and accurate summary of the factual contest, adverted again to the burden of proof, and reminded the jury that they were the sole judges of the fact. But he did not find out what was the problem which had brought the jury back into court, and it is therefore impossible to tell them whether anything said by the judge resolved the problem, because no one knows what the problem was. In result, having referred to several stated cases on point, their lordship, in reference to the case of Anderson versus Regina, AC 1972-100, went on to say, in cases of murder, great care must be taken to see that there has been no miscarriage of justice, and the test, a strict one, has been described in Wilmington as whether if the jury had been properly directed, they would inevitably have come to the same conclusion. The law lords reference Sterling versus the Director of Public Prosecutions, 1944, 315, as a situation where a reasonable jury, after being properly directed, would, on the evidence properly admissible without doubt, convict. Finally, the case against the appellant was indeed a strong one, and for that reason their lordship would not be prepared simply to recommend that an acquittal be ordered, but they do not feel able to say that the jury would inevitably have convicted if the defense had been furnished in evidence with 3 statements in question, and if the jury had received the accepted direction as on evidence as to character and guidance from the trial judge on the problem, whatever it was indicated when they first returned to court. Berry was retried and again found guilty. He is now serving a sentence of life imprisonment at Tower Street Adult Correction Center. Linton Berry is the only son of Hugo Berry and his wife Joyce, widely known for many years as Man Joyce, one of the foremost bicycle importers, repairers and traders of bicycle parts from the early days of cycle racing at the Kingston Racecourse, now National Heroes Park. They operated on Agley Park Road, north of the crossing with Walton Park Road traffic lights. Both his parents died in the years between the 2 murder trials. So, boy, yeah. So that's what happened with Raymond Linton Berry. Love ecstasy appeared to have turned sour when District Constable come Playboy Linton Berry was denied the sexual pleasure of his life, 35-year-old Paulette Zaidie of 9 Oak Boulevard in upscale St. Andrew. This sad tale unfolded in the classic Shakespearean tragedy drama pathos style. It was a love triangle doomed to end in disaster, with the nation becoming the awe-struck audience lapping up the story in all its morbid details. After a year of professing love to 36-year-old Paulette, mixed with threats to shoot to kill her and her new husband Joseph Zaidei, Berry executed the dastardly threat on January 11, 1987. It was 10 p.m. 2 gunshots suddenly broke the stillness of the night. Passerby John Johnson, driven by curiosity, rushed towards an immobile jeep at the foot of Jacks Hill off Barbican Road. He noticed, among other things, that a car was speeding up the hill like a jet. He would say in his testimony later, the woman driver was slumped over the steering wheel of the immobile vehicle, later identified as Paulette Zaidei. She had a bullet hole in her head. Johnson called the police, but the tremendous shocks a home circuit court jury would get later was to hear evidence that about 15 minutes after the shooting, Paulette Zaidei, Berry allegedly telephoned the unsuspecting husband and told him, "I have just shot your wife, Paulette, at the foot of Jacks Hill Road." Bearing witness at the trial, Zaidei allegedly that Berry had also told him he should count himself lucky that he was not present, otherwise he would have suffered the same fate. Zaidei told the court he was dumbstruck by the phone call so he requested Berry repeat what he had just said, and he repeated it. In fact, not only did he repeat the chilling message, but he went on to suggest that he had better go pick her up. They only came to grips with the stark reality of the situation when he arrived at the scene that night. He looked at his wife slumped over the Jeep Wagoneer she had been driving. Her face had completely blown away. It hit him like a kick in the stomach that he had become a widower. His grief, he said, was indescribable. According to the prosecution, the eternal triangle was the reason for what was described. At this crime of passion, it was alleged that Berry and the deceased woman had an intimate relationship before her unexpected marriage to Joseph Zaidei. Evidence in the court was that the 36-year-old Berry, a former district constable and owner of a garage, was full of rage when he learned that woman he loved had married Zaidei without his knowledge, and he voiced this. Both of Joseph Zaidei and Paulette's sister. He told them that if he confirmed that Paulette had done so while still seeing him, he would kill her. Yeah, so say, boy, she betrayed him because you see how Jamaican woman dangerous. We are not justifying what Linton has done, but she was seeing Linton because Linton was her feeding tree. She was seeing Linton and she was seeing the other man. I wonder if the other man had known about Linton, because if you as a man, any man know that his woman or wife to be seen and next man and married to her, you are a fool. And I know a man who right now in Miramar, that in Broward County here too, who have done the same and end up in jail. You understand? Went to visit the woman and the woman arrest him because this man was talking to this woman, and she had two other men with him, and he's still married to her, and bring her to America and end up in jail because of the same woman. But that's how Jamaican women are, some wicked people, So she was playing Linton, and she know that Linton love her. But she know that Linton was a dangerous cookie too, and she gamble, because him tell her, say if you play with me, me kill you. What most women do not understand, anytime you're talking to a man, and a man tell us, say if you play with me, me kill you, or if you left behind them thing, when you reach that point, you know that you have to find a way of exit for good. That's why a lot of women, when they have a husband or a boyfriend, especially women who are educated, they normally, you see, once a man threatens their life, you know what these women do? They make sure that they would go to another country and seek asylum, because a lot of these men are a lot of clean clothes madmen in Jamaica, Linton Berry was one, Not only Linton was a bad cop, Linton was a him full of rage, man, for a white man, You understand? Because him temper high, And you see, he's a 44 Magnum, him use and blow out her face, And him car, hey, but I tell you, I show him every day when I'm in a prison. Because, I met him, once he was on bail, one at a time. I know that every day I'm supposed to regret his actions for what he had done. Because I'm just wasting life on him thing. And him have a beautiful wife, a white woman, the man have as his wife, I met her, them have place here off Mullines Road. You understand? But I just say going, So we'll continue the journey. So Chief Justice Lindsay Wolf presided over the 11-day trial. Counsel for the defense Richard Small appeared for Berry. Small had put forward submission in law as to why the trial before the court should not proceed then, but the trial judge overruled him. A defense of accidental shooting was relied on. A constitutional motion was also moved but did not succeed. Berry went into the witness box and demonstrated to the jury how his 44 Magnum Scimitar & Wesson revolver went off accidentally that night and ended the life of his former lover. The jury, however, after deliberation, accepted the case as presented by counsel for the Crown, Ken Patrick. At the time, then later he became the Director of Public Prosecutions. The sentence of death was pronounced on Berry on March 22nd, 1988. Remember them time I was at training school. Special leave to appeal to the Privy Council, United Kingdom Privy Council, against the dismissal of his appeal by the local court of appeal was granted in July 1990. After hearing arguments on both sides, the Privy Council in July 1990 allowed the appeal and remitted the case to the Jamaican Court of Appeal with the direction that court should quash the conviction of the appellant and either enter a verdict of acquittal or order a new trial, whichever course is considered proper in the interest of justice. So when the case was sent back from the Privy Council to Jamaica, the Privy Council gave the court two options, either to acquit Linton Berry or retry him. But because him killer, remember saying him brought her from nothing and turn her into something and him go kill her, them I say. Now so we can't make this white man I get away with this in the car, next man will kill a woman again and them think they know the same fate. So them say them make an example of time and retry Linton again and convict him. You understand? I just say it good, But not before the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council observed that written statements made by witness Zaidie and Paulette, the dead woman's sister, and not disclosed before or during the trial, had been wrongly withheld from the appellant Berry and his advisor. So the Crown, were being deceptive. So them try them evidence that would have helped him, them hide it from him, and the Privy Council was really upset about that. So that's why them sent it back. The committee found that one result of the withholding of the statement was that the trial judge and in turn the Jamaican Court of Appeal were ignorant of the content of the statement and an addendum by Zaidei to her prior statement to the police. This one dated May 9, 1987. So the police them realized that boy, the statement that was there on the file is more beneficial to Linton Berry. So what they did now, they create an addendum that in the statement you say further stated to make it more damaging to him, and they never make the court know that there was a statement there that would help him. But I tell them people, although him admits him killers, they understand, but they are saying that statement, the addendum, that would help him and them hide it. It was noted that Zaidie and Paulette were the two most essential prosecution witnesses to the alleged facts which preceded and followed the shooting. It was the committee opinion that it was a Crown clear duty to warn the defense of the evidence by producing the three statements to the defense. Failure to do so in their view was a material irregularity. Tried a second time Berry case before Justice Spitter and a mixed juror in the No. 2 Home Circuit Court was highlighted by as much drama and high tension as the murder itself. For more than an hour deliberation, the jury returned with that was said to be the unanimous verdict. The Hush courtroom heard this scenario played out. Registrar Mr. Foreman, will you please stand? The foreman rose. Question: have you arrived at a verdict, Mr. Foreman? The jury member: Foreman: yes, we have. Question: is the verdict unanimous? And the foreman answer: yes. Question: how say you? Do you find the prisoner Linton Berry guilty or not guilty of murder of Paulette Zaidei? Not answer: not guilty. There was jubilation from section of the courtroom. Then the voice of juror number 12 came through loud and clear. Juror number 12: no, Mr. Foreman, how could you make such a mistake? A hush engulfed in the courtroom for a second time. The silence was deafening. Foreman regaining his composure after a moment. Guilty. The trial judge took over the prosecution and polled each juror individually. The verdict again came up unanimous. Guilty on all charge of murder. The death sentence was pronounced de novo and new on Linton Berry. The prosecutor in this second trial was led by Hugh Wildman. Deputy, at the time, he was the Deputy Director of Public Prosecution. And him involved with the cash plus thing. Howard QC, former public defender, George Suter appeared for Berry. Paulette Zaidei, widowed husband again, gave evidence during the 1988 trial that he and his wife had been living at 9 Oak Boulevard at the time of her death. before June 1986. They had lived together as lovers for 9 years. Then in June, the relationship deteriorated. Paulette moved to an apartment in Surbiton Manor, close St. Andrew. Although he had seen Berry before June 1986, Zaidie testified that he had not spoken to each other. He told the court that he was therefore started when in that same month of June he met Berry at a nightclub called Illusions. Out of the blue, Berry volunteered that he was having an affair with Paulette. Berry also told him that he, Zaidie, were to harm her physically, he would kill him. So, boy, Berry a madman, you know. He tell the man, go tell the man, say, boy, I'm there with your wife, you know. And if you ever put your hand on her and me kill her, say, you know, say, boy, Paulette have him weak. So, taken aback was he. Zaidie told the court that he could only respond to what have to speak to Paulette when he arrived home. But upon his arrival, Berry was already in the house, seated with his arms folded across his chest. His firearm was resting on his chest, according to Zaidie's testimony. Boy, Berry a bad man. Zaidie said he was even more astonished when Berry announced that he had come to remove Paulette and her things. However, when asked what she intended to do, Paulette refuses to leave with Berry. It was the beginning of the end. Why, former, so you know, we continue. Former district constable and garage operator, 67-year-old Linton Berry is crying for help from prison as he fears losing sight because of lack of proper diet and medication for his diabetes. Berry, who has been serving a life sentence since he was convicted of murder, told the Sunday Gleaner that he was diagnosed in 1992 with type 2 diabetes. But prison authorities have failed to assist him in getting adequate care, leading to a deterioration of his health. I am now diagnosed with type 1, and I am sure that if I were getting adequate medical treatment, my medical condition would not have worsened, Berry contended. He said he did not have the money to purchase medication for his diabetes and is not getting the proper diet, which should include fruits and vegetables. I see myself dying a slow death, said Berry. Berry is now fighting a legal battle to get adequate medical care while incarcerated and to be compensated by the state for his constitutional rights breaches. Berry came to national attention in 1987 when he was arrested and charged with murder of 36-year-old Paulette Zaidei, his former lover. He was convicted in 1988 of murder and sentenced to death. The United Kingdom Privy Council overturned his conviction in 1992 and ordered a retrial. Berry was convicted in 1997 for murder, sentenced to life imprisonment, and could serve 25 years before he could be eligible for parole. So 25 years, and then we could have get parole already, man. But boy, man, I tell you, the prosecution, the evidence that Berry had deliberately shot Zaidie in the head out of jealousy because they were living together when she married Jimmy Zaidie. Berry defended that his gun went off accidentally as he struggled with her while attempting to get into her Jeep. Attorney at law Christopher Townsend claimed that person in lockups and serving sentences lack appropriate medical care. Referencing to a case in which he represented a man charged with murder, Townsend said his client has diabetes, and because of the condition and treatment in the lockup, the detained man has developed an infection in the abdomen and went untreated for some time. He said it was only when his client developed a massive sore in the stomach that he was taken to the hospital this month and now hospitalized. Our prison facilities in Jamaica cannot take adequate care of incarcerated people, especially those who are sick, Townsend said. He pointed out that there are daily complaints of persons not being taken for treatment by the police or prison authorities. Townsend said even when judges make orders for medical treatment for prisoners, they are not necessarily carried out. For a long time, the prison service has been delinquent in paying attention to the prescription needed of inmates. They don't act unless there's a crisis, said a lawyer who has worked in the system but preferred not to be named. Everybody in Jamaica afraid of because You understand? Nobody want to label as an informer, liar, or a liar for name. But a prison official, when contacted last week, dismissed the criticism, arguing our medical unit, despite challenges dealing with a huge population and limited financial resources, does an excellent job. The prison official disclosed that the authorities partnered with the Ministry of Health and other organizations to offer inmates dental and eye care. The official said medical missions also visit the prisons regularly to assist with health care. Regarding special dietary needed, the prison official said family members assist inmates on the days permitted to bring food, but the prison authority also try their best to help maintain their diet. Attorney at law Zara Lewis, who files Berry's suit against the state this year, said she is now waiting for the Attorney General Department to file a response to the claim so the case can move forward in the Supreme Court. Berry is seeking compensation from the Constitutional Court for the infringement of his rights and distress suffered by the refusal to allow him access to necessary life-saving food and medical assistance. Berry said in his affidavit that after he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, Dr. Roya Powell, the Director of Medical Service at Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility, permitted him to receive items daily according to the diet sheet obtained from the Diabetes Association of Jamaica. He said that despite his plea, he had not been allowed access to any of the items on the diet sheet, and as a result, he now has damage to his retina, which has resulted in serious low vision, constant leg and muscle pains, dry, itchy skin, headache, difficulty concentrating, and high glucose level. He said that in January 2018, the Commissioner of Correction permitted him weekly access to the items on the diet sheet, but it has not been implemented. I am prescribed many drugs. Most are crucial for controlling my condition, but sometimes I am without these for several days. It should be noted that I have never received a supply of Lexatin, Doxium, or the required vitamins, said Berry. Berry, who had, it does a tragedy though, if he just control himself, he money in them thing here, and I'm just a complain how them not take care of him, but I saw it going on him know that because he was a part of the system, and the man in a bad police back in the days, Yeah man. Berry, who was completed 22 of his 25 years prison sentence, said he would ask the court to release him from prison based on this time on death row and the stressful condition under which he has to exist. Yeah, so while Linton Berry is still in a prison and I release him, and you understand, and it's because of his case, him kill the woman out of jealousy. But why, I don't understand some man and him thing. A man like Linton Berry, man, him get himself involved with the next woman and the woman married, and why the woman was a confused woman, but him and her, it's just sad. It's just sad all over. But this goes to show you, that men, that you do not own a woman, Not because the woman, she give her body to you, meaning that you own her. You don't own her. You must remember that people free, so not because Linton Berry was a shatter, Yeah man, preemptive striker, man. When me a youth, I grew up on them thing. Them man, when you talk about bad police, man, Linton Berry, man. Them man, there are enough criminal them on the dirt. But once you go rogue in a police force, the march where you under a bus, and that's what happened to him. Them threw him under a bus because he commit himself, so, and the system the system turn on him. I never support Linton to kill the woman and them thing. And no, Magnum can't go off, because Magnum, a whole heap of 12 pound of pressure you have to apply to that. And based on his behavior, it was premeditated. But our deepest condolences to the Zaidei family. I remember, when this happened, I was going to, going to high school. And then, you know, I was at training school when even the trial went on. And it just unfortunate how the entire thing worked out. But it goes to show that men must learn to control themselves. You don't not control a woman. Yeah, you have some woman still though, you know. Whether or not you want to believe it, you know. And then put it on Panama, you know, him become him weak, you know, because he never experienced anything like that. Because it's just chemistry, you know, the body chemistry. And it's why Linton boy him just get hooked like a drug addict. But she, you know, she was just a carefree person, and you know and the husband did love her and everything there. So I just saw it go. Yeah. If you reach this far in the video, yeah, just click the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel as yet, consider subscribing now. It doesn't cost a dime, a nickel, a penny, or a pence. And most importantly, it won't clog your phone memory. Yeah man, comment below. Share the video with your friend, your family, your neighbor, and your co-worker. And thanks for tuning into the Jamaica Young Police channel. Yeah man, so you know, we'll just give you a update. Bad cop Linton Berry kill his lover Paulette Zaidie. And due to jealousy, you know, him can't even fathom, you know, just even the mere thoughts of Paulette giving it away to is her husband, and the man kill her. So boy, you know, it just sad. Have yourself a beautiful day. Jamaica Young Police channel out.